You have found yourself in another episode of Locked on Bulls. In today's episode, we'll break down the number of back-to-backs that the Chicago Bulls do face and just how hard is their schedule actually. We'll also be talking about the Rivals Week since Pat the designer didn't get a chance to talk about it as of yet. And then we'll also break down this rumor that the Heat are interested in Nikola Vucevic. Me and Pat have put on our detective caps and got down to the root of this. We'll get into all that and more on today's Locked on Bulls.
You are Locked on Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked on Bulls. That's Pat the designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central. And we got a schedule to break down there, brother. I know you had been out yesterday. Schedules just didn't align. You're back now. So first off, just general thoughts on the schedule. Where do you sit with the schedule, bro?
I like that it's more of a tough to
really
say,
balanced.
right? Balance, right? Yeah, it's tough to say, right? Like I like that there's more where it's not like the beginning of the season we're playing a lot of below 500 teams, and the end of the season we're playing every playoff team known to man. But here's the thing, that could completely change based on who's a playoff team and who isn't. So, but the one thing that I will say about looking at the schedule that kind of stands out is just how the Chicago Bulls can set the tone very early on in the season with a lot of the games that they have, especially starting the season with Miami. We talked about that, going to Cleveland. You'll get a lot of those answers that we had very quickly in the season. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, right, as the season continues on, there doesn't become this lull where you might be able to get a little bit too cocky. Mm-mm. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the thing. Even last year, right, Billy Donovan said, yeah, we're playing great. I love how we're shooting the ball. We're knocking it down. This won't sustain. You know what I mean? So, there's not going to be that moment where you can be like, oh, yeah, 10 games in a row, we've got sub 500 teams. This is the easy part of the schedule. That part doesn't exist. While you kind of like those moments, I think those are also moments where you can get yourself into a rut of playing to the level of competition.
This is true. And the one thing with this, it starts off very, very strongly. And it ends off just as strong. Our last 14 games are against teams that are projected to be playoff teams.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of evenness in the middle, but it's very top-heavy and bottom-heavy. But you know what? I'll take it where we can get it. Nonetheless, there now we do have 14 nationally televised games this season. Are you happy with that number, Pat?
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I mean,
okay.
I'm more mad at the Lakers having 27 without NBA TV games included.
And that's crazy because we have 14 with NBA TV.
You know what I'm saying? I'm mad that I have to see the Lakers that much, but I guess, I get it-ish. But for me, right, I like that the Bulls are back on national TV. I'm glad that the TNT Bulls are back, and I'm glad that it's kind of coming because it does I think all three of our TNT games are back-to-back pretty much.
They're all not back-to-back, but they're all
not back-to-back.
The next are, we don't have any other national televised games between the TNT games. So we have January 26th against the Charlotte in Rivals Week, and then we have Brooklyn February 9th on TNT, and then Milwaukee February 16th on TNT.
Yeah, so I like that, right? I like that we're going to get a heavy dose of the Bulls on TNT this year.
Wouldn't necessarily call that heavy there, brother. But
I mean, listen, heavy.
You had zero last year.
We've had zero the last, 4 years? When's the last time we had a TNT game? Derrick Rose was on the team.
No, we've had TNT games since then, bro. We had TNT games the Rondo year. Yeah.
Did we? I don't remember that.
Yeah. We were undefeated on TNT that year.
I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't remember having a TNT game with that. I feel like Chuck would have been frying our old team a lot more if we had.
We were cooking. He couldn't. We were cooking. Yeah, he couldn't.
All right, we did. I will say this. Having a TNT game makes me feel better about us having national TV games because the Bulls on TNT were absolute monsters. They blew teams out when they were on TNT. That's the best basketball you would ever see from the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, like it's during the Derrick Rose era, we had huge like just success on TNT. Like it was, didn't we win it was like 16 games straight on TNT or something like that?
We won
a
lot of games in a row. Like there was a point where like their breakdown of the Bulls was like, well, they're playing here tonight, so like it doesn't matter what we say, like they're gonna win. They just got up for those games, man. I don't know. I loved it though.
That's great. So our last TNT game was during the 2017-18 season. That was
Jimmy.
No, that was actually we had Zach LaVine at that point.
I was gonna say that would have been Zach actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So that was after the Jimmy trade. I
guess that'll
there.
get you off of TNT right there.
That definitely get you off TNT right there.
Here's the national
TV
game.
Our last win on TNT was during the 16-17 season, and that was the Rajon Rondo. I thought so. I forgot about the Zach. I forgot about the Zach game, but yeah.
So here's my question to you.
Okay.
We've got a game in Paris, and I know we've talked about this, but it does technically count
as a home game. Yeah.
As a home game. How you feeling about that on the schedule going overseas to play Detroit?
I love it. Like, you keep in mind, I grew up overseas, so like, I love it for the growth of the game. I love it because I was that person living in Europe. They could, like, when I lived in Germany, we would have drove to Paris, France, to watch a Chicago Bulls game if there was one there. So yeah, absolutely, I love it. And it's going to air at a decent time. There's going to be like a noon WNBA game because they're ahead. So I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
I think the interesting thing with it is, are you playing Detroit over there because when the game was expanding overseas, Detroit was like a god team as well? Or did it just fall on the schedule that way? Because I mean, you think about it, right? Like, you would probably want a marquee matchup overseas. But then I thought about Bulls fans overseas, like,
you have the Bulls, who are a huge international fan base, but then you also have a young team that's up and coming. So maybe they're looking at it as this way: the Bulls are an international team. They have an international fan base. Yeah. Maybe the NBA is looking at this. We can expose these new young stars over there, and then maybe as they grow, we can grow, and the fan base over there grows as well.
Maybe. Definitely could be something like that.
Listen, I try to bring some logic from time to time after just screaming at people. Like, I try to bring some logic.
Forget Detroit, man.
Oh, yeah, forget Detroit. Last time I said something sucks, we got into a little tizzy. But
hey, listen.
Detroit does suck. If anybody got a problem with that, you guys can at me now. One thing that we do want to
DM
them. We got 15 back-to-backs, Pat. 4 of those back-to-backs are in the first 12 games of the NBA season.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It's tough, right? But I mean, it's how the schedule falls. You were going to get these games probably anyway. It does suck to me because it doesn't allow as much time for rest. Mm-hmm. But I mean, right, like, this is why you are building up that continuity now. This is why you're building up the offseason stuff, the camaraderie and all that now, right? Because when those games get here, guess what? Kobe White might have to start. Or Dalen Terry might find some minutes. Or, I'm saying, like, your bench pieces might end up in your starting lineup because, hey, we're going to rest
Shuttlesworth has a better chance of. No, let me just stop.
Here comes Kobe White with the act. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, your bench pieces might end up getting into the starting lineup in those moments, and that's why you want to go deep. That's why you want to have guys on these two-way deals. That's why you want to be able to have Marko Simonovic starting to figure his game out, Andre Drummond on your bench, Goran Dragic as one of your bench pieces there, because all of a sudden right now I'm moving Goran Dragic into my starting lineup instead of
bro, I think
third or fourth point.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that just because rest, like, you may see a game where maybe DeMar only plays 25 minutes, but I don't think it's going to be heavy. Like, and that's another thing that we do need to talk about. So the Bulls are going to have the disadvantage of rest on more games than not. There are actually only 4 games on the schedule where the Bulls come in with more rest than the other team out of 82 games. So you do the math on that one. That's like, we're definitely going to see Lonzo is not going to come back playing, I don't think, 30, 32 minutes a game. It's going to be you're going to see a lot of that. And, you've talked very heavily about managing DeMar's minutes a little bit better. I think this schedule kind of forces that a little bit. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, right? Like, that's why I think you have guys sit. Like, we already heard from CJ McCollum that teams put in designated rest days, and sometimes the players fight back against it. I'm sure DeMar and Zach will be players like that that'll fight back against it. But you've got to protect the player from themselves sometimes. Listen, you want to make a deep playoff run? You don't want to be burning guys out in the middle of January. You don't want to be burning guys out in December and October. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that's kind of what you have to look at. And if the Chicago Bulls are smart about this, you're looking at the fact that, hey, Ayo Dosunmu started a lot of basketball last year. We've got Alex Caruso coming off of our bench. Guess what? And I'm assuming, right, and you kind of think about with some of the stuff we heard this offseason, that maybe they knew something like this was coming up. Because what did Alex Caruso say? I'm preparing my body for the first time to play 30-plus minutes a night.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a very interesting season. It's already going to be interesting to see how they balanced out the rotation. But now looking at how heavy and the strength of schedule is and the lack of rest is, they got their work cut out for them. But
top 5, right? Strength of schedule wise.
Yeah. Yeah, we out of the playoff teams from last season, we have the toughest schedule out of the playoff teams from last season. Not the toughest schedule overall, but we do have I think the second toughest schedule out of the playoff teams last season.
Yeah, that's tough.
So, yeah, very tough. But we're going to move on now. We're going to talk about the Rivals Week and the NBA introducing that and what that could mean. But first, we got to talk about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They got you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, Pat. So I speculated while you were out. This Rivals Week thing is a cool concept, don't get me wrong. But I speculated maybe that they're air-marking this week in the schedule. This is where that mid-season tournament is going to take place next season. Watch.
Could be.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Overall, the concept of Rivals Week, we will talk about the games themselves in a second, but the concept of the Rivals Week, what do you think about it?
I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm not upset that they've come up with this idea, but I don't think that they really get the word rivals right. There's not a lot of rivals in here. If we're calling Twitter beef rivalries now, then sure, let's go with
the people nowadays are soft. That is their version of rivalries.
I mean, I guess, but like, could a little bit of beef on the court be the reason for that? Like Grizzlies Warriors, I kind of get.
That is a rivalry.
To a degree. One game.
To a degree.
One game. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if they come. Like, if you
come Los Angeles Lakers Clippers, that's a rivalry.
Lakers
Boston
Clippers
Miami
is a rivalry.
Boston Miami has been a rivalry to a degree.
Kind of.
Even Brooklyn Philly to a degree. So most of these than not, I can see the rivalry in them.
Brooklyn and Philly's a rivalry?
Yeah.
How?
Bro, it's New York against Philly. That is always a rivalry.
Yeah, but New York's been on the losing end of it most of the time.
That doesn't stop it from being a rivalry.
I don't know if I'd call that a rivalry. I'd call that a submission.
It's not like they're laying out down and saying, "Hey, just beat us." But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, like
Toronto Golden State. I feel like it's 2 years too late to be considered a rivalry game.
And that's the thing for me, right? Doesn't it have to be some history there? Like, I guess if you want to say like Joel Embiid and Kevin Durant have gotten into it on the court, talking trash back and forth to each other.
No, it's not that. Kevin Durant and James Harden as well. There's history there.
I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's. I'll say this. I like the idea of it. I hate the execution of it.
It'll get better. And this is what I asked you, right?
It'll become a tournament.
Well, I still think they're going to keep Rivals Week and they'll just probably push it somewhere else. But I think that this slate, because when you think about it, the January 24th to 28th is the perfect spot to have an in-season tournament, because then you come back, you go on your All-Star break about a week or two after that. Your trade deadline is about a week or two. Like, it just that positioning makes a lot of sense for an in-season tournament, in my opinion. But I do really like the concept. Now, the fact that they mixed it, right? It's some players versus players that they're saying are rivals. There's some history with teams. So for the Chicago Bulls, it's the battle of the Ball brothers, Lonzo versus LaMelo. A sibling rivalry, I guess. Is that what we're doing?
They like each other.
I mean, they're siblings, though. Every sibling has a little bit of a rivalry, bro.
Come on. We getting cheap like that? Like, here's the thing. There's 10 years of teams you could have put on a platter.
And that's what I said on the episode.
We play the Knicks 3 times in 1 month.
Yeah.
You could have put the Knicks on there if you really think. Like, that tells me the NBA don't think the Knicks are going to be anything this season. They just gave them a Christmas Day game because it's New York. Detroit, Miami. Years of teams that the Bulls can actually call rivals. Years of teams that we've played. Heck, I'd have been happier if you gave us what we had last season going up against Philly because Joel Embiid said bye-bye to the crowd.
Yeah, that's
Charlotte.
He waved at a kid, bro.
He waved at a kid, too.
He waved at a kid.
I respect. It's disrespectful, but I kind of respect it as well because it's like anybody get this smoke, which is kind of the way that we live.
He
on.
waved at a kid,
but
my thing is they missed a key opportunity. That's my biggest issue is that they missed the biggest opportunity. Why aren't the Milwaukee Bucks and Grayson Allen our game versus rivals week?
That's another one. It's another one.
If you don't want to go the historic Cavs, the historic Pistons, if you don't want to go that Miami Heat during the Derrick Rose and Heatles era, we had a situation in which Grayson Allen took out one of our best bench players, and to this day, they're smoking Chicago for it.
And I want Dalen Terry to swing him. Dalen Terry swings on him, sign him to an extension.
That is my biggest question in that. Like that was the perfect game in this. And other teams got 2 games. If you wanted to still throw Charlotte for the Ball brothers to be on TV, all right, fine. But the rival, if we're basing this off stuff that happened in the Chicago Bulls season last season, there's only 2 matchups for it. It's that Milwaukee Bucks one, and the fact that DeMar DeRozan told Patrick Beverley he was too little. Those are only 2 things you can go to.
Yeah. Do we want to see Utah though?
No, not really. Especially because it looks like they're about to trade Donovan Mitchell. We really don't want to see that. But yeah, so like that's my thing. There's history there. Bobby Portis used to be a Bull. He's there now. There's so much things in that Milwaukee game who are also historically our rivals as well. We just own that for 20 years, and now they've owned it for the last 6. Yeah. But that's the missed opportunity in this for me.
I'll say this, right? At a minimum, I'm watching every game on him. And Knicks Nets, I'm probably not watching.
Oh, no. That's
but outside of that, I'm watching every game on here. But I feel like the execution of it could have been more thought out. Like, it literally just seemed like anybody y'all had beef with last season, that's who you playing against, except for the Bulls. Like, was there some moment with the Hornets that I missed? Did we have a beef with the Hornets? Again,
that's not the thing here. It's not the teams. It's just the like on the actual weird. NBA's post of it, they listed this game as not the Chicago versus the Hornets. It's listed as LaMelo versus Lonzo Ball.
But here's the problem as well. 2 things. One, what if Lonzo's not playing? That could be that. I'd be nerve-wracking on that.
Well, you know I have my conspiracy theory because Lonzo was on the January part of the Chicago. This photo was on that, and this rivalry game is in January. That's when Lonzo's returning. I'm telling you.
I think the other thing for me that the only other thing that I could think, like, is there an MJ angle here? You want to have
another maybe hook.
You want to have Jordan be a part of Rivals Week, and so like he's got to play his former team that is now playing the team that he owns, and so Jordan comes out and like gives Billy Donovan the finger. I don't know. Comes out and tells Jerry Reinsdorf what he thinks about him in the middle of the court. Like, where's the rivalry here? Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna watch every game. That's at the end of the day.
That's what it boils down to.
We're watching a slate of good games over 4 days.
yeah. I mean, and we'll see. And like I said, they're gonna push the marketing in this hard. I said that on the episode as well. Yeah. Outside of the Bulls, what's the biggest matchup that you're looking forward to in this week?
Outside of the Bulls, the biggest match I'm looking forward to, health willing, Sixers Nuggets. Because I think that is a game where Michael Porter Jr. will cook. By the way, he's back on a basketball court and looks like he can move pretty well.
We'll see how long that stays.
Hey, listen, don't be going at my guy. You keep your
look,
Jordan Crawford.
Wait, hold on.
There.
You forgot. I wanted the Bulls to draft Michael Porter. I'm pissed that he's not a Bull.
I've been watching MPJ since he was.
No. Believe me, there's no MPJ hate here. I just have my doubts on his health long term. But hey, if that man stays healthy, that's a dangerous dude on that basketball.
No defense being played in this game at all.
Oh, listen, bro. Why do you need defense when you can score 50 points? That don't need
relax,
that's Michael
Jabari. Relax, Jabari.
There's only been what he said. There was 2 players in the history of the NBA that got paid for defense.
They got paid on.
We still didn't know who he was talking about.
I assume Dennis Rodman.
It has to be right. It has to be Dennis Rodman. Ben Wallace, is that who he's talking about as well?
That's probably it. Yeah.
Tony Allen.
Tony Allen definitely got paid for his defense because I think Tony Allen one season averaged like 7 points a game.
Yeah.
If
Rondo, there's a lot of players that got paid for that.
Rondo got paid for his point guard ability.
Yeah, that's true.
Rondo's almost 40, and he's still a heck of a point guard.
Yeah, this is true. All right, mine that I'm looking forward to is Memphis Golden State Warriors, just because I think that's going to be probably the best basketball played, and if both teams are fully healthy, it's going to be an exciting, fast-paced game.
Is Jaren back? When is Jaren supposed to come back?
I have no idea. I've not been monitoring that. I have no idea.
Because he's going to be out for a little while.
Yeah.
But I think that plays the biggest difference in everything, right? Because, they lost Slow-Mo. They lost one more player off of that team. Who else did they lose? Bane? Is Bane still there? Is he gone now?
I don't know. No, Bane's still there. He's not gone.
Bane is still there. One of them.
Bro, we got to move on. We got to get into the next segment. You getting caught up in things that have nothing to do with
my bad. My bad. Locked on Bulls. My bad. I like the Grizzlies.
I feel you too. That's like my second must-watch team. But we're gonna go ahead. Last topic of the day. We got to talk about it, man. We gotta officially, anytime we do this, we gotta put on these protein packs, like the Ghostbusters were the rumor busters. Because I love that every time there's some stupid rumor, we're the ones that's over here hey, we did the research. This is where that started from.
Not buying it.
Because there has been going around today that the Heat are reportedly interested in Nikola Vucevic for Duncan Robinson. But guess where this started from? Thanks to me and Pat's ace crack detective skills on here. This actually originated from an interview on Heavy.com, which Sean Devini was interviewed, and he just said that he spoke to one league executive that floated around the idea of sending Duncan Robinson and Omer Yurkin, whatever, to Chicago for Nikola Vucevic. That's it. And the basis of this, he even said in this article, the Bulls had some interest
I was trying to think who you were talking about.
Oh, Yurtseven. There you go. See, the Bulls had some interest in Duncan Robinson before, and if the Heat really wanted Vooch, that could be the basis of a deal. Vooch for Robinson. Again, completely speculative.
Yeah.
But now other sites, Bleacher Report, are running it. Oh, the Heat are interested in Nikola Vucevic. This is a guy who has no ties to the organization of the Miami Heat, who talked to some magical executive that we don't even know if existed and just floated around an idea. Come on, fam.
And here's what I always say. How far down does league exec go? Because I hear this and I'm doesn't technically anybody who's a part of the front office count as an executive?
Technically Paxson is still a league exec.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm how far down does it actually go? Is it literally just hey man, how you been doing, man? Hope we can get Vooch in here. And then he walks off.
Exactly.
Was there an elaborate conversation about the goal is Nikola Vucevic? That's the piece that puts us over the top. Meanwhile, here's the one thing that I do love about it. If it is true, other teams around the NBA really think Vooch is an asset when the Bulls fans don't. And if it isn't true, it's you mean the guy that they said they were trying to work out a deal with in training camp, they actually want to keep? Shocked, I say. So I don't know, dog. I can't put any credence to any of this. Like you said, we basically boiled this down to the studs, and it's
it's nothing there.
There's nothing there. And who wants Duncan Robinson? I'm sorry, bro. Listen, let me not. I'm not gonna say he sucks.
I'll say it. Duncan, no, he doesn't suck.
He doesn't
but
suck.
He
I'm
fell
not
off
going to say he sucks, but the thing is, right, like, if you're inside of your own head, if you're like, those are issues that sometimes you don't get over. Like, who was my man that was in Philly that got the yips and then went down to Orlando? It was
Markelle Fultz.
Markelle Fultz, right? You seen him in
Orlando?
Orlando?
Got a heck of an extension now. Yeah.
You seen him in Orlando?
Yeah.
He looks okay.
Yeah, he looks.
He don't look like what he was supposed to be though.
Yeah.
So like, when it's up here, that's a whole different space to try and deal with. I'm okay on that. I'm cool letting that. Like, if 5 years come by and Duncan Robinson's one of the best shooters in the league, I'll be like, that's okay. I'll take a chance after I know he can shoot again.
There you go. Like and especially now the fact that he's a 6'7", 215-pound shooting guard / small forward. Don't we have one of those on our roster? Now that's a lot younger.
You got like 7 of them on our roster. What are you talking about? Derrick Jones Jr. is technically that.
No, Derrick Jones, we don't count Derrick Jones Jr. But yeah, that's hilarious, man.
He's also attached with $90 million.
90 million of those things.
And he just played in year 1 of that.
Yeah, we're good.
So there's a 4-year deal left on him.
And he's already 28 years old? No, we're good, bro. We're good.
I'm cool on that.
I'm good. You start falling off before your 30s? No, it's not. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign.
Meanwhile, and here's the thing. I know there's going to be muzz in the comments just like, trade him for Vooch straight up. I would do it. And it's like, but Vooch put up a double-double. It don't matter. Okay. All right. I give up.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that we can bust this myth. Like, let's just move on, people. And this is what, honestly, and I know people may not even make it to this point. All I will say with this is literally, people, when you see like a Bleacher Report, when you see a Hoops Hype, when you see anything,
yeah,
and they're quoting another article, please go all the way, because literally it was like 4 articles deep. I was 4 deep before I made it to heavy.com. Please do your research and read it. Like, it's the same thing that happened with the Goran Dragic thing. Like, you gotta uncover the layers sometime. It's like a game of telephone. Every time a new website reports off of it, they add something to the story.
My favorite thing is like Sean Devaney literally says like, I talked to a league exec in passing. Literally says in passing. So like they bump shoulders. Tom, what's going on with you, man? How you feeling? Good to see you. All right, man. Hey, yeah, how you feel about Vooch? I'd take Vooch. Okay, all right, hey man, don't worry about it.
I take Vooch.
By the time it gets the Bleacher Report, Pat Riley's on the phone talking with Jerry Reinsdorf personally, asking him to send him Vucevic, and he's willing to send back 7 first-round picks and Jimmy Butler. Like that's how it ends up getting reported by the end of it.
That's crazy, bro. It's like a game of telephone, man. But all right, man, go ahead and send us off, brother. Last episode of the week.
Last episode of the week. Appreciate you guys for showing so much love throughout the week, as always, man. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can also follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Shout out to you guys for pulling up.
And you can follow me at CEO Haize, the CEO, Haize. Thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go and check on Locked On NBA, where the Locked On experts break down all the latest news, rumors, and developments going on around the NBA in 30 minutes or less. They can be found wherever you get your podcasts. But for Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls. Peace, y'all.
Peace.